Yeah, a fair amount of mechanical skill, but let's go into our first match of the day. See if we have anything unique. We do see a Varesh, Fanclub playing Varesh.
Interesting.
Don't see that horribly often. And a
Typically,
Paloma.
Fanclub plays support, I believe.
We saw a ridiculous Paloma earlier today. Some phenomenal mechanical skill. We're going to see if we can see their North American counterparts live up to the standard. And we actually didn't see any old Durst earlier today, or
it's interesting.
Jumongs.
Yeah, actually,
North
interesting. Reap What You Sow and Ninjas are going to be running Jumong Uldur, which is typically something that Averse and Stro will do. And so, yeah, these players are changing it up, and I like it. We'll see how this matchup turns out.
Gonna always start off with the poke game. Reap What You Sow doing his best to try and get a few off. But we're gonna see a counter from Varesh going in through the old door. But old door not gonna have a problem with that. They're gonna try and pin him down now that he's stuck there. But we do have to remember there is an other side ready for him. Oh, he uses his R to try and get a little more aggressive. The center orb is going to get taken.
Oh, the counter. Nice use of the black arrow from Reap What You Sow to avoid the stun from Varesh's counter. And that puts Fanclub in an awkward spot. Going to use the other side to get himself out of that scenario. But so far, the health trading has been fairly even. And that Chrono Flux is not in a good position to really stop Fanclub from doing damage onto the Jumong. There's an EX swap.
Oh, Lord. Old Durst just took so much damage.
Wow.
Letting Varesh go through him. Gonna get what? Oh, he actually used the orb to get the second hit, so he's able to get the third now. Reap What You Sow going to try and get an in cap off, but he has 73% health pool to try and tear through. I don't think he'll be able to pull it off. Old Durst took so much damage by not paying attention to Varesh, which we see people do so many times.
In the neutral game, Varesh puts out so much damage, and after Old Durst spent Chrono Flux and just didn't really have great options to get past Fanclub and Warden, really smart use of the EX swap to change the positioning of that field. Warden was able to put himself in an aggressive spot to assist Fanclub, as well as take Reap What You Sow out of the fight, prevented him from really getting optimal damage onto his opponents, and Fanclub and Warden were able just to tunnel damage into Ninjas and come out with the win.
Now we're going to see again Fanclub getting in aggressive, getting the counter, but it actually does get a damage off. He's actually taking quite a bit now, but the other side going to try and pull him back out.
Really smart use of the black arrow from Reap What You Sow every time he sees a counter come up, because then even when he does hit the counter, he's already in the invulnerable state and will avoid damage, but now Warden is taking some pain on his own.
Fanclub going to take a good amount of damage. He's now halfway down. He's pretty separated from Paloma. Oh, but actually really good use of his counter to try and reposition himself near his ally. But again, spreading that gap. Got to make sure, because Paloma needs to use her auto attacks to get those heals off. Oh!
Oh, that's a big whiff. Reap What You Sow missed the ultimate, but they're putting out so much left-click damage, and this is just the quintessential Jumong Uldur comp working out for Legendary right now. Other side has to be spent, but they're so low on health. A good land on the silence for Fanclub onto Reap What You Sow, but they're still a long way ahead of them.
I mean, right now it's just dishing out damage. Oh, Paloma getting chunked away down by Uldur, and now not much left for Varesh to do with the mobility that he has. It really just seemed like Reap What You Sow and Ninjas just sat there and left click for a good while, dealt a whole lot of damage, and it wasn't getting healed up. Paloma, while she does have a good amount of heals, it's a little slow to ramp up.
The big thing about the neutral game in that scenario was that Fanclub tried to go toe-to-toe with Reap What You Sow, and Jumong empowered his, or used his black arrow in a very effective manner, and that put him very far ahead, convinced Fanclub that he could not continue to go toe-to-toe with the left mouse button fights, and ended up losing a lot of health on the exit, and that put Reap What You Sow and Ninjas in a fantastic spot to extend their advantage into the mid and late game.
Always starting off Fanclub getting in there, but he's taking a lot of damage right now, trusting the heal from Paloma, but she realized he was taking too much damage other side of him, but now attempting the in caps. He's going to get one off on Paloma. He switched position to the field. Now Uldur on the outside. They have taken mid control a little bit, but Fanclub countering outside. He's a little too far from Paloma, not going to get much heals out here. Oh, but Uldur, they're just honing him down. Both debuffs on him, and now he's going to put both debuffs on Reap What You Sow as well.
There it is. He got the big pop on it, and Fanclub is putting out a huge amount of damage. Can they keep up? Chrono Flux gets put down, and the space gets used. There's no more outs for Ninjas, and they're looking to push positioning right here. There's a counter.
There it goes.
Wow, dangerous, and the Wolf actually roots up Reap What You Sow. That's one good synergistic attribute of this Varesh Paloma combo, using the Wolf to root up and then having Fanclub either shoot debuffs onto their opponent or use the ground AoE to pop them. something that was incredibly key there that Fanclub did was he saw the Chrono Flux get placed down. He actually purposely fired into the Chrono Flux, waited for that projectile to come back at him, activated his counter, and then went through the Uldur after that counter. He basically set up his own counter, stunned up Uldur, put Uldur in a bad spot, and then chunked out a huge amount of damage. In addition to the fact that Warden was able to secure that center orb control, their resource management was on point. Used that ultimate very early on in the match, and you just saw how much damage that does.
It also helps that Fanclub has gone Ruin, which means his counters will inflict judgment on others. It will put his right mouse click. It just looked really silly. I'm surprised it took so long to pick this. Synergy is hands down one of the best BattleRekts, honestly, for Varesh. It's so strong. It allows him to reproc either buff, no matter which one is on there. Either left or right click will proc them both. So all he has to do is land a single right click. We're seeing him getting a lot of 360s in there.
Oh, interesting, but he's losing out a lot of health in the neutral game. The other side is going to be used aggressively, but he might be put in an awkward spot. Counter. Good mechanics from Reap What You Sow, avoids a counter. There's a double quicksand root. Here comes Jumong, putting Secret's Mark on both. Trap down on the Fanclub.
Trap, but the counter.
But this is still an awkward spot. Paloma is ill-advised to heal Fanclub right now, and we'll see how they play out this situation. Somehow, not enough damage being put onto Fanclub. He's kind of a little bit tanky, surprisingly.
Yeah, he does a good job with his own shield and the heals from Paloma, but right now he might be caught. The other side brings him out of the damage, and now we're going to see Jumong trying to back up out of this. Orb control might go to Fred Durst's Fanclub, and I do not recall exactly who pulled that.
Ultimates are on deck, and Uldur is going to be able to use his Time Bender ultimate very, very soon, and that combo is incredibly dangerous with Jumong assisting. Let's see if they can execute. Meanwhile, Fanclub has his own set of bars, and he's going to pop it. There's the Uldur ultimate. Oh, nice other side from Warden to avoid that stun, and that was a key play. Fanclub got a little bit of damage, and there was no return for Legendary, and they're sitting in a good spot is Fred Durst Fanclub.
We're seeing every time Fanclub uses them too, he gets a little 360 involved.
Got the orb as well, and the counter does hit, but good pop on the immaterial. We'll put the Secret's Mark. Incapacitate lands. Other side plus the R, and Warden to finish it off. They might just take that. There it is again. He reflects off the Chrono Flux and activates the counter. Gets that free stun on ninjas. Fantastic from Fanclub. Maybe one of the highest level Varesh plays we've seen in BattleRekt so far.
It's the self-counter that's pretty cool. I'm not going to lie.
That was pretty cool.
Using the Chrono Flux to force his own M1 click to go back into his own face. Yeah. So that he, I mean, it's just sick, man. There's really no other way to call that other than sick.
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 Fantastic.
Fantastic. That didn't work.
No.
Anyways, fantastic game one. But as we know, it is a best of 3 maps.
So they have another chance. Legendary has another chance to make it work. But that was interesting. And keep in mind, Jumong Uldur is not normally what Legendary plays, right? So will they make a switch up?
I don't think I've ever seen a Varesh make it out of round of 8. A Varesh has made it to the round of 8, and then they always kind of crumble around there. They just have a hard time dealing with high mechanical play. I think the Paloma support is unique, but works. The other side, I think, is great. Varesh really does lack in escapes. He only has his R and his counter. But his counter repositions him outside of his own movement. Like he doesn't control where he goes particularly. It's up to the enemy who hits him.
What's really interesting is both the other side will assist Varesh as well as the Wolf Root. The Wolf Root is actually such a strong BattleRekt for Paloma. It kind of is an easier to hit, plus also AoE version. It kind of matches Quicksand in that sense, which is one of the things that allows Jumong Uldur to be so strong. Is landing that Root lands you a ton of damage because Root plus Rain of Arrows, and just having Roots with Jumong in general is really, really good. But in addition to that, Paloma also has the EX swap and can help position the Varesh much better, which is one of the big things. He only has his R to move around. If he whiffs his counter, he actually doesn't have any mobility. And so having that EX swap, having that other side, having that Ghost Wolf Root means a lot of good synergy.
And it's not even just that. Even if she does put her spacebar out and doesn't particularly hit her ally, she can still use her AoE panic, try her best to interrupt and panic enemies away, you know, so long as they cast something. And on top of that, there was something else, but I lost it. I had a good point.
There's always something else.
Look what you've done to me, Arthur.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, I'll forgive.
I'm very sorry.
What was it? Now I'm mad. Anyways, as you mentioned, one of the best Varesh plays we've seen so far here in BattleRekt. Just very confident, very calm, able to move around. That shield very strong. And, oh, as you said, with the root, it does make his M2 a lot easier to hit. It's like key. It is a 1 second cast time. It's very projected. At least the fact that he's casting it up, not so much projected as snipe. You don't really know exactly where he's hitting, but you do know that he is bringing it up. Yeah. You don't know exactly where it's going to go. But we're going to go into game 2 of this match. We're going to see who's going to take this. If Fred Durst Fanclub can take it, they will move on to the semis. Legendary, looking to stay alive. They have changed a little bit of their team comp.
The other interesting thing about the Ghost Wolf route, actually, is because there's no diminishing returns in BattleRekt for CC, actually when the Ghost Wolf bounces back and forth, it reapplies a full duration of the route when it comes back over. Because typically it hits 3 times. If it bounces once to the opponent's teammate, then back to the original opponent, it'll reapply the route at that point, essentially extending the amount of time that they're put into that CC. So that provides a long opportunity for Finlev to put out damage.
And by the time we hit round 4, as we saw Finlev go, Synergy, which is just an absolutely just dominating BattleRekt, I feel, for Varesh. It allows him to just keep those debuffs up constantly, which allow him to deal more damage and make them deal less damage. I think it's just pretty strong, especially when you have somebody that can block them down and allow you to get that right click, or even the his EX right click as well.
Yes, does both the debuffs at the same time. Something very interesting now. Reap What You Sow and Ninjas have returned to the Shifu Sirius, and let's see if they can find a little more success here. Going to be a little more aggressive and allow them to put pressure on the Paloma. Gets the Petrify off of the Incapacitate. And Paloma might find herself in a bad spot now, but does set up the spacebar just as a get-out-of-jail-free card. But
the counter's now down, and they know Finlev's going to have to deal some damage until the other side comes up. He did not bite on the counter, but he will get petrified, and now they're going to go down on poor Paloma. She does not have her spacebar. She's going to take some serious damage. All the abilities coming out, the R, everything, charged weakens. Now we're going to see, Finlev's going to try his best to help him out. Shield and everything, but it's going to get petrified. And again, they're going to 2v1 poor Paloma. I don't know if Finlev can come out of this, but he does have his ultimate. He will be able to dish out a bit. But he gets incapped just before.
Reap What You Sow was definitely ready for that ultimate pop and landed the Incapacitate right when that happened. Something very, very troubling for Finlev and Warden right now is Shifu Sirius is very good at sticking on their target, and Paloma just had to burn through everything, especially because Reap What You Sow and Ninjas were very, very patient on Paloma's spell block, meaning that you lose actually one of the best opportunities to peel your opponents off of you. This is one of the reasons why I think that it's really popular to take that first tier Ghost Wolf BattleRekt affection that allows your Ghost Wolf to return to you and heal you, which is a sensible BattleRekt to take because Paloma lacks a lot of self-healing. But the problem is you actually have to land the Ghost Wolf for that to bounce back at you. I think in many ways getting the cooldown reset on your spell block is something to really consider very heavily, because you need to have a way to peel your opponents off of you, and the more options you have, the better. And look at that again. Reap What You Sow was so patient, and that's really the difficulty here, is that if they actually just wait out the spell block, Paloma will very quickly run out of cooldowns. There finally doesn't land.
This comp in particular, very aggressive. They're actually going to go in and try and snag that up. I believe they did. We're going to see the counter not getting bit on for
Nice
Shifu.
Position for Fred Durst.
Fred Durst doing a great job. And now look at this. He's still getting healed from Paloma, completely confident of where he is. She's going to now jump in to help Finlev, but the ultimate coming out, not enough heals. He's actually going to take more damage from the Varesh ultimate. He takes absolutely nothing because he was invulnerable the entire time. They are able to secure yet another orb, but we're going to see, the in cap on Finlev, but the panic is going to keep Paloma in a good place. Warden keeping the distance, trying to get the heals, but accidentally props the counter.
Reap What You Sow using the Spirit to get out of the situation and had to. That was his only option available. And Finlev is actually putting out a lot of damage onto the Sirius here. Counter is down for Ninjas, and that might be a viable target right now. Actually, Warden didn't get the root because he wanted a little more survivability, getting movement speed when he pops the spell block. And that actually might have cost them a kill in that situation, but Finlev and Warden are able to stabilize, and they might have a situation where they can win out against Shifu Sirius here.
Finlev did get his counter proc, but there wasn't any material, so it's... just before the ultimate goes off, and now we're going to see a war. No! He tried to get something else off. I believe he tried to get his in cap, use a little bit of energy, or maybe he started his Whirling Blaze, I think is what happened, and he got silenced out immediately.
Yeah, the silence happened, at least on the Sirius, it happened immediately when that ultimate did pop. The silence came down, and that's a lot of damage because that means that the right-click debuff actually did explode, and that gives Resh a lot of burst. Something that I really appreciated out of Fanclub and Warden in that particular round was that they played a lot more stable. Warden was now starting to play mind games with Reap What You Sow with a spell block, where originally Reap What You Sow was able to just do the simple stage 1 mind game where he's just going to wait and let you waste your spell block. Warden was countering that by saying, okay, you're going to wait, I'm just going to start beating on you. I'm going to beat on you, heal your teammates, so you feel like you're just standing there watching me gain effectiveness. And so Reap What You Sow feels compelled to start using actions to catch up. And at that point, Warden can then start popping the spell block again.
Look at how quickly Legendary just goes right in there. They hadn't even let them come all the way into the center.
Dangerous situation for Paloma.
The in cap on Fanclub. They're now going to try and hone her down. She throws out an orb anyways, tries to hit the center, and she actually does. The Wolf gets to the orb, but now she is all alone. Other side's well timed, but now again, still all alone. She gets the swap, but the ultimate comes out from Shifu, dealing quite a bit of damage, but nothing too detrimental. But now another ultimate silenced out of it, and now the ultimate from Faresh going to land all 3 on Sirius.
Big connection there from Fanclub, doing the best he can to try to peel and get counter damage on. And I think they're going to need to keep playing this well and find some way for Paloma to get bar to spend to try to find some way to squeeze out of this chokehold that Legendary is putting onto the Durst Fanclub.
Oh, the amount of CC, the in cap followed by the Petrify.
There's a good pushback for Warden, keeping Reap What You Sow at bay, but procs the counter, and this could be the end of Paloma. Has to spend the other side to get away, and the shield for the mini-stun. Sets up the position swap, and Reap What You Sow is going to play conservative, making sure that Paloma does not have the option to take the path. Will secure center orb as well.
Paloma, again, trying to keep her distance at best. Oh, just missing the silence. Other side of her ally just got a damage. Warden now just barely trying to poke out. But the ultimate, he got silenced out. Nicely played.
The mini stun on that shield has been coming in so big. Oh, here comes the ultimate.
Oh, the second one didn't land, so he wasn't able to get his third jump. Now Warden in a scary place just gets the panic off, and then Roots.
Oh no, and leaves Warden alone, and in the end the kill target was Fanclub, and that was just, I mean, Fanclub was doing excellently peeling for Warden, but spent a few too many resources and ended up going down himself. Such a tough scenario. Shifu Sirius cannot be overstated how much pressure they put out. And I really think that Durst Fanclub is doing a good job playing around that, but it's tough. I mean, the first, I would say, 3 or 4 Spirit Rifts was baited out by Reap What You Sow. One of the big things we identified in round 2 that went so well for Durst Fanclub was landing those interrupts, landing those panics. This time around, Reap What You Sow made the adjustments and was able to avoid them very cleanly.
And I mean, they had such a good just intro. I mean, they came out, they had a lot more health. Fanclub was doing a fantastic job. He had a lot, but once Warden took that too much, once Warden got down to what seemed to be about 15% health, spent too much time trying to keep her distance. Paloma had to stay in the back. She had to stay as far away from pokes as possible. She doesn't want to get harpooned or javelin. She doesn't want to get messed up with Sirius from jumping in with his spacebar.
Tough situation. Cooldown trading is very difficult against Shifu Sirius when they can continuously be aggressive.
They go right in, but now that Petrify is going to leave Warden alone yet again. Going to try and get the heals up, other siding himself. And another in cap. They just keep Fanclub at bay as long as possible. But he did get a shield off. It got both debuffs on them.
Doesn't actually take the Spirit Guide, and I think Durst Fanclub did actually win that center orb, so let's see. Fanclub is putting out a lot of damage onto Ninjas, and this might just be the turnaround. There's the ultimate pop at the most opportune moment. Will hit into the Sirius counter, and Ninjas have to position defensively. Reap What You Sow gets interrupted away. Panic is going to land, and that gives a lot of ground for Durst to make something happen. Ultimate does get spent for Reap What You Sow, and that will earn the center orb. And now here comes Ninja's ultimate. Misses the swap.
Whoa,
the swap will actually interrupt.
All of them landed on Ninjas, and now he's double debuffed. He gets on the other side of the wall, but now they're going to try and hone down Warden. She has to be careful. Oh, Paloma might take a lot. She has her spacebar out just in case. She gets a spell block. Very good placement from Ninjas going to where the ghost was, and now, oh no, he has such little health. Varesh wasn't taken well care of while Paloma tried to deal with her enemy, and now he's going to go down first. Paloma petrified. Oh, this team is doing such a good job of utilizing their CC to make it just constant 2v1s throughout the battle.
It was interesting because I think Fred Durst was so far ahead in the early game, but it was a mid-game trade that really lost it for them. They weren't able to get really organized kind of formations, and Ninjas and Reap What You Sow were able to kite away and position themselves such that they kept getting chipping damage while Fred Durst was struggling with their own positioning. And that's so important for Paloma because her heal is an attack projectile as well as a heal. Positioning is key. If Reap What You Sow is in between you and Finlev, you cannot actually heal Finlev. Everything you have will actually hit your opponent. If you try to use Spirit Guide to heal, that actually knocks into your opponent if they're in the way, and it doesn't heal. If you try to use your left mouse button, that actually hits your opponent, and you cannot heal. This is why Paloma's positioning is so important, and that it became so disorganized in that scenario where there was just a brawl. They really needed to put out a lot of aggression at the time, but weren't able to hit the shots and land the CC, which meant that they were just floundering around, losing a ton of health. Lost a lot of ground in the mid-game and then ended up losing the map.
While I do like that Paloma has a lot to help Varesh out, the problem with Varesh is that when he does counter, he now does that exact thing. He's putting an enemy probably between him and his support, which is going to make it harder for her to get to him without using abilities. So now she's forced to use an ability to either get to him or get him to her. Either he has to use other side to help get Varesh back, or swap with an enemy, or swap with his ally. Right, so she had to use something just to get them back together after he counters away, because she doesn't have a whole lot of mobility herself. Without using, you know, spacebar is kind of the big one, and that still an enemy can get in the way, as we brought up. And she can't just go around or through an enemy. So that's definitely key to the placement for that pair specifically. Is like definitely one of the biggest things. Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at the replay of the last map and see exactly what Shifu Sirius did so excellently. Reap What You Sow connects big onto Finlev here, and there's a good Petrify from Ninjas. And this just speaks to the aggressive nature of Shifu Sirius, able to put down that control and also connect with big damage, high mobility on the support. Sirius can come flying in with a spacebar, hit you with a charge strike, and then the impale with Shifu as well. Huge burst damage.
And it was really just the rotation of them using their in caps and their petrifies, right? It was Sirius would either use his petrify, or we'd see Shifu, use his tendon swing to try and get that in cap, which will just, they both last almost an eternity, especially when you're relying so much on getting your ally. And since no Lucy, you don't have a clarity potion, you're stuck in that the entire time. So they did a great job of just, even if they picked one or the other, it didn't really matter, right? It was great on them to pick Varesh. They can then get honed down on Paloma. Paloma has to use her abilities to get away, but then that means Varesh is alone when he comes back. Now that Paloma's used all of her escapes, she can't help Varesh out. She can't use the other side. She can't use her spacebar because she's used that to try and escape while she was the only one walking around.
Yeah, tough situation. And Legendary is going to tie it up 1-1. So we'll see who's going to move to the semifinals. Is it going to be Fred Durst Fan Club? Or is it going to be Legendary?
Name. Oh, I love that name. The Fred Durst Fan Club.
Fred Durst.
Since BattleRekt has started, it's got to be my favorite creative name. Stamp of approval.
I have to admit that I don't know who Fred Durst is.
Oh my God. All right, we're just gonna ignore it. Chat probably exploded. I don't even want to look.
I don't want to deal with it.
Which I'm gonna look.
I'm gonna look. Will Finlev and Warden make the comeback happen? That's the question on the table right now.
It's a big one. I'm expecting to see some team comp swaps. Most definitely. I think the frustration of that against the duo they were just against, a little too aggressive. And it's looking like we do see. We're going to go into the game. We do have them in where they have their team picks. And Varesh has been swapped for a Taya.
All right. Here it is. Fred Durst Fan Club against Legendary. 1-1, and already a very close series in the round of 8.
Gonna try and buy time in that middle. They know Finlev has great range and damage. Gonna get the X Boomerang on Sirius, forcing him to heal himself, and then also pulling in on Shifu. There's the Petrify though. She's left all alone, and the counter gets hit. She's gonna get the stun, but now she's stuck in their other side. Gonna try and rescue her. Will they get the orb? I do not believe they did.
It looked like Legendary were able to acquire the orb, and Ninja's actually getting pretty close to using the ultimate, and the other keeps gonna pop the Astral Beam. Taya actually responds by summoning Piggy. And we'll hit into the counter, and that's going to put
oh man, Reap What You Sow taking a lot of damage right now. He actually just tried to pull in. She probably should have let him, so they could have tried to take him out. The orb again, I believe, going to Legendary. We're going to see a tornado to try and rescue Warden, but Warden didn't go anywhere with it.
Wow,
he actually stayed right where he was.
From both, actually, Reap What You Sow and Ninjas, both did not get panicked down, and that's key. Allowed them to put out a lot of pressure and probably save their lives as well.
We saw another ultimate coming out, but Finlev trying, gets the X Boomerang.
Such accuracy.
Insane amount of damage. He hits an ultimate as well. Oh man, so much better. Now we're gonna see the Paloma. Is the Piggy gonna come out? We see the counter. It actually might be detrimental. It pulls him in. He tries to ult out of it, but he goes down instead. Ninjas now going to try and ditch out the damage. He has his ultimate, but the counter doesn't get procced. He's now stuck in here. He used his spacebar to get in, and we are going to see the Piggy come out. He used his spacebar, but he gets panicked. They're going to secure the orb just to make sure.
Nice.
Push out. What?
Nice use of the push to break through the counter and wallbang him and cancel out that counter. Really impressive display for Finlev on the Taya. I think he made a lot of great decisions using haste when he was weakened up. That's probably one of the best ways to get away. Big problem is if Reap What You Sow, or rather if Ninjas can get to the BattleRekt that allows his empowered weapon strikes to root, that's going to start hurting Taya a little bit. Popping haste will take off that movement debuff for you. But if you already have haste up and you're trying to kite away just by moving, and you get hit by that haste in the middle of it, you get rooted up and you don't have the option to get out of that scenario.
Luckily, hopefully Warden will have something to help him out. If not, if he's at least built up a bit of energy, he can use Tornado. But Tornado has a 15-second cooldown. That is huge. It's an eighth of a game time.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
15 seconds is definitely one of the longer cooldowns in BattleRekt. But it's such an invaluable skill to be able to choose who you want to iframe. Kind of like a second other side.
Oh, but now they're going to be separated so early on. Going to use haste to try and get back to Paloma, but then he procs the counter for Shifu. The in cap comes, going to get the N2, but he pushes him away. Another inside, trying to pull him out in the tornado, but I don't know if this is going to be enough. Taya is going to take a lot of damage trying to use the pull, but then another counter gets procced.
And the Spirit Rift actually whiffs on nothing, and I think Taya's going to go
there
down.
She goes, and now Paloma left alone. She knows this might be it for her. She's going to ultimate to try and dish out some damage. She's going to get petrified in the middle of it all. Oh, whirling blade, but a panic comes out. I don't know if there's much she can do to outstand this damage from this duo specifically.
It was really tough. Positioning for Finlev was really atrocious in the beginning, flanked on each side by either Ninjas or Reap What You Sow. So when he did pop that haste, there was actually no good position to run to. That's one of the differences between haste and an actual dash or an actual iframe mobile skill, like one you would expect from somebody like Jade or somebody like Ashka that can go across walls and just go past enemies. With haste, you actually have to run through all that damage. And so if your opponents are good mechanically, they can still hurt you quite a bit even when you have that haste popped.
We're going to see if we see aggressive play again. Finlev, I think positioning in the beginning of that is what kind of cost him a bit too much health right off the bat. So now we're going to see Shifu try and hound on. Oh, but the other side gets him out of the petrify. They are, look at them, just one by one, they're picking them off. They're doing a fantastic job of just hustling around. They're now going to try and push down on Warden. Great placement. Reap What You Sow backing off, but now Ninjas has just pure side of the orb, and he leaves it alone. Try and take down Taya, but that looks like Fred Durst's Fanclub is going to get it. Oh, Piggy comes out, and the counter's been wasted. Reap What You Sow might take a good bit of damage. She's going to split it up amongst Ninjas as well.
Oh, and it's going to look like a 1v1 on each side, and it doesn't look too particularly good for both members of Fred Durst Fanclub. Whoa, whirling blade on Paloma, and there down goes Warden, and this is looking bad for Fred Durst Fanclub.
It really is just a matter of the movement is just a bit too high for the two of these, and they're having to use too many of their abilities, and they're not sparing them enough. Sometimes you just have to accept the fact that you might take some damage, but you can dish it right back out at them, and you want to save your mobility for the prime moment.
It was really a tough scenario for Finlev and Warden, and it really seems like just the cooldown trading comes out on top for Legendary each time, and that speaks to some of their mechanical execution as well as their patience and discipline. Finlev and Warden are finding it difficult both to land CC as well as gain space. And Ninjas and Reap What You Sow, I mean, if you give uptime to both these champions, you're going to be losing health guaranteed. And a lot of it very quickly. Nice tag on the snare onto Sirius. And other side will have to be popped very early by Warden. Petrify is the answer.
Petrify. We're going to
really
see.
Hurting.
Oh, Paloma is going to take a lot of damage, and another counter gets procced, followed by a weaken, and then getting pounded down on another in cap. Just not enough with the haste. We're going to see if she can use it. Oh, and petrified again. Warden left alone for almost the entirety of this match so far. Fanclub going to try and get the stun out, but he canceled it. Pushed the whirling blader away, but I don't know if it was enough. We're going to see. Oh, no. There's just not going to be enough. She's going to go down. That might be the end of Fred Durst Fanclub as Legendary puts on the pounding.
Oh, Piggy is coming up, but already lost most of her shield and will get tagged by the last bit of damage. Piggy goes down, and counter gets procced by ninjas, and this is just looking like a tough spot. Whirling Blade comes out, and Fanclub will fall, and so Legendary fight back and win 2-0. Their Jumong Uldur end up falling to Fanclub and Warden, but their Shifu series is still something to admire. They really came in strong, and it seemed like there was no stopping them.
They just really started to shred through that. I mean, it really came down to the fact of once a single in cap landed, it left Paloma all alone. They kept putting it on Taya because they know that Taya can move around a little bit faster. She has that haste, so she's able to kind of escape a lot of the, single abilities like Harpoon, M2s and stuff. So they just did a good job of keeping her out by petrifying her, and especially that last round. She was out like almost the